Okay,
Yeah,
so we're
awesome.
recording. Let me just hear you say whatever. We're in a noisy venue, so they just want to be on the podcast too.
Yeah, I think they're, this
Is
is
that
their
what it
15
is?
minutes. Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not bad. I saw Minding the Gap at BAM Cinema Fest.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That was a great screening. It was, yeah.
I wasn't at that one, though.
Oh, you weren't?
I was at a
you were at
press-
the press.
I was at a press screening.
Gotcha.
But I saw it on the same screen.
Oh, in the same room.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they have it in the same room.
Were there a lot
so-
of people there?
Yeah.
You don't have to tell
It
me.
was packed. For a press screening, it was packed. No, there was a nice turnout.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And what I was also intrigued by, we'll get to the subject matter, but is also your collaboration with Kartemquin,
Yes.
who has been an ongoing friend of the show. I guess I don't know how else to describe them, because I've had on Steve James I don't know. He's like a pal at this stage. He's been
Three times you've had
he
Steve
might
on?
have been on this podcast three times. Well, the most recently with Abacus, and then we just came on for a really long chat at one point, and I think we met once for.
Has he met his limit? Is that
yeah,
the
he's
quota for
tapped
No
out.
More Steve?
He's definitely not invited back unless he makes another film, which I know. Oh, actually doing a TV thing, right? Now?
Well, I worked in that. I directed 3 stories in that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
so
There's 12 high school students, and I in 2015 he hired me to direct 3 stories on it.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, and then Laura Checkaway. Do you know her? Did she do it?
Edith and Eddie. Yeah, I met her. We had
Yeah.
ramen last time I was here.
Oh,
Yeah.
ramen.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we should order some ramen
Yeah.
too. Is it on the menu? Are you based in Chicago?
I'm based in Chicago. I've
Oh,
been
you
there
are?
for 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you grew up in not too far.
Not too. Yeah, like hour and a half west. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Very good. You had to ask for a cappuccino.
Yeah.
Son of a gun.
She's been. Yeah. Sorry. That's my fault.
It's all right.
Grinding the beans.
It's okay. I think you're coming through loud and clear. So you grew up in the
Rockford.
Rockford,
Yeah.
Rockford, Illinois, and got into the skateboarding scene as a way of integrating, of meeting people and making friends. Is that how you originally got into it? Do you think, or was it an escape?
I think it was an escape. It was an escape. I for the first 6 months of doing it, it was like winter, and I was doing it in my basement by myself.
Yeah.
And then I slowly met kids in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
and then I started getting better, and then I met more kids, and then I got a camera, and I really met more kids. I went around the country in a van, So yeah, it really saved my life and changed the course of my life. Yeah.
Okay. How do you think it may have turned out if you hadn't gotten into skateboarding? If you obviously given that
I
some
think
thought.
a lot of the other young people in town who were of my background probably would have done more drugs than I did.
Okay.
Probably wouldn't have found the same sort of sense of control with my life, and maybe I wouldn't have moved out of Rockford. Maybe I wouldn't have graduated high school.
But it was a combination of other things as well, because obviously some of the other guys, 2 of whom are also covered in the film. That's nice. Thank you.
The cappuccino's arrived, just to let listeners know.
No slurping on the show. It's a slurp-free zone here.
Oh man.
Go ahead. We can wait it out. You should enjoy it while it's fresh and hot. No, don't be all up in this business here.
Good.
Noah's been helping a great deal. He's interning for Filmwax. But because there's 2 other men who are also who you follow their stories in Minding the Gap.
Yeah, Zach and Kier.
Zach and Kier. So you have a nice diverse trio of people.
Kier is African American. Zach is white. I'm Chinese American.
Yeah, and you discover through the film, as you did obviously with the making of the film, being on the other side of the camera, that you had a lot in common, or you have several things in common that emerge through the telling, the things you noticed, and then this creates the theme of the film. But it seems like you found your way into a healthy life. Maybe I'm not describing it well, but you found something that gave you a real strong, reason and motivation for having a healthy life. And I think it seems like it might have been a combination of the filmmaking as well, as storytelling. And you also had a very, very caring and nurturing mother in the end.
Yes and no. I didn't see a lot of my mom growing up. She was nurturing you know, I was born in China. My mom was going to school at the time when I was born in Beijing. And then I got a lot of care from her parents and also my father's parents.
Oh, I see.
And then she moved to Alabama to go to school. And then my father and I followed her to go there. And then my mom and dad divorced. And then it was just me and my mom. But she was just working and going to school, so I was left home alone a lot.
You were a lot. Okay.
And then I moved to LA with her, and it was sort of the same deal. I was a latchkey kid. They moved to Rockford. She met this stepfather who is, you know, ends up being a big part of the film, just in the background though. And then she just kept working, and so like I didn't, you know.
Does she support your filmmaking, for instance?
She loaned me some money to buy my first camera off eBay for a couple $100.
Okay.
But I was also working as a dishwasher at the time, and you know, so it was. But yeah, she didn't prevent me from doing the things that I wanted to do. Like she bought me my first skateboard, for example, for Christmas. So
did she know you already had a passion for that, or did she just do it because she thought it would be a hobby for you?
She probably thought it was going to be a hobby, as I feel like most parents do, or did back then. I think it's probably different now. You have you know, parents taking like paying hundreds of dollars for kids to go to skate camp and stuff now.
Right.
But yeah, she probably thought it was a hobby. I mean, I started when I was in 7th grade. I sat next to this kid in literature class, and you know, I liked him because he would draw like sketches of Barney and the Teletubbies smoking weed. You know, I thought, oh, this guy's interesting. And then he would bring this finger skateboard to the class. You know, this tech deck. I don't know if you guys know, but these like toy skateboards are
they're the little ones that come like 6 in a pack.
So he would like do tricks with on the literature book, and that's what drew me to skateboarding at first.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I have a little kid. You know, he's 14 now, so I guess he's. So there's skateboard camp. I didn't even think of that. I guess it's there are going to be those who kind of can figure out how to exploit.
Skateboarding becomes so corporate now. You know, it's like all like Nike and Adidas and all the big shoe companies and are like there's no more independent skate shoe companies anymore. And you know, it's about to become in the Olympics. I mean, so I think there's this. You know, it's destigmatized now. Parents see the value of it.
What do you see? What do you make of that? Because you came from a very different way into it, and
I think there's little benefit in resisting change, and I also think like I'm not worried because skateboarding is sort of like Bitcoin, like it just builds on itself, and there's no central authority figure, and you're never gonna take away that core sort of gritty, you know, skateboarding culture that is going to be present in like this small town skate park where this kid has duct tape shoes and he's skating for the love of it, and he's doing it to escape a dark family life, perhaps, you know. Like that aspect's never going to go away, you know.
Well,
skateboarding.
And I don't want to give the wrong impression to those listening, because the skateboarding, even though it's very much the backdrop of the film, it really isn't getting to the core of what the film is about.
Yeah, I thought
it is only.
I really like the film Kids growing up, and it was because it was. Yeah. It wasn't about skateboarding. It just existed in the skateboarding world. You know? And
this could have been in another environment too. The themes that run through of being a young man without the someone who is guiding you, like a male father figure that's you know, a good father figure, or very available and present and emotionally available to you and guiding you in that positive way. You all kind of struggled with that figure, whether you know, in your life. The three of you, correct? Yeah,
that was sort of the genesis. Well, so I started this project in my mid-20s and reverse engineered it, you know, to make it seem like I started when I was 14. But, you know, the seed of this project is very much like me wanting to explore, you know, what it meant for skateboarders to have poor relationships with their fathers. And so I went around the country and, you know, filmed all these skateboarders. And then a year into it, I met Kier, and I was like, oh, this guy's so special.
Yeah.
And then Zach was about to become a father, and then, you know, I had actually known Zach though from my teenage years, and so he was someone that I wasn't like really getting to know for the first time.
Where was Kier living or growing up?
He was in Rockford. Everyone was in Rockford.
They were. So you, even though you went around the country, as you said, shooting various folks, you ended up coming home.
Yeah, it's
and
funny
being in this microcosm, regardless.
It's really, I mean. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I remember I went out to Portland like 3 times to follow up with this one character. Right? I went to St. Louis multiple times to follow this other character. And I think it's probably out of expediency. But it was also because things were happening. Like Zach had this child and things weren't going well. And, you know, I think I slowly skimmed the fat, so to speak, and kept going back to Rockford to follow Kier and Zach.
Yeah. Well, they're both all three of you are so compelling, and I think almost any person could relate to what you guys are going through, and it just creates an empathy from every. I think that's why so many people are connecting with your film.
Yeah, it's rare to see like true intimacy and vulnerability in young men.
It
I
is.
think.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Think so?
He's given
he's
watched A-OK and a
he's
thumbs
been
up.
watching it too. We got him a link too, so he could watch. I try to throw as many films.
And who? This is your assistant?
It's like I'm sorry. Yeah, this is Noah.
Oh.
He's interning this summer for Filmwax.
Gotcha.
I do the podcast. I do other things as well, but primarily he's been helping with that.
Gotcha.
And he goes to SUNY Purchase, and he's sitting very closely.
He's taking photos and videos.
He's great.
Yeah. How's your internship going? You can mime it. Do you want to mime it? He says very well.
It's going great.
Thanks.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I hope he's learning some things, and he's helping with a number of other things. So it ended up being all in the Rockford area, as it just coincidentally, or it made the most sense for whatever reason. But it helps because you've created this kind of world, this space that after like an hour and a half, 2 hours, we're feeling like we're getting a kind of an understanding of it. And
it was really important for me to find a way to show Rockford, because I think people that aren't from the Chicagoland area, I think they think Rockford is just like a vanilla suburb, but it's not. It's a Rust Belt city that is more like Flint, Michigan than it is like like Evanston or Arlington Heights.
So it's gone through its rough periods because of the disappearance of manufacturing and industry abandonment, right, by big companies. And
also, interestingly enough, the tearing down of the Chicago high-rise projects in the 90s.
Sure.
So a lot of residents were moved to Rockford after that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but getting back, by the way, you mentioned kids as being an influence, and I noticed that in reading about you, and that you seem Harmony Korine and also Richard Linklater were both influences, both Austin-based, by the way.
Oh, I thought Harmony was in Nashville, or now he's in Miami. But I thought he grew up in Nashville. He's has an affinity with the South, and he's talked about that.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, maybe he wasn't. The times I've seen him were in Austin, but it could have been because it was during South by Southwest too. But I just thought he was living there for a while. But he might have been.
He might have been. He's he's very much grew up as a skateboarder himself. So
sure.
We're all very itinerant people.
Yeah. And what is it about the Linklater films that you liked?
It was less like all his films. It was more the movie Waking Life and Slacker.
Okay. Right.
Like I didn't even realize Dazed and Confused was his film growing up. I thought it was just like another one of those like cult classics.
Right. And it was.
But Waking Life really got at the sort of curiosity that's sort of emotional and earnest and almost angsty that I feel like perhaps a lot of young men feel. I just certainly felt it, and it was sort of showed a way of trying to answer things that were, that sort of alluded to questions that were becoming more and more important to someone growing up as a teenager. It was just, and it was like, it was kind of like a lonesome film too. It just really got at emotionally and intellectually at the same time, like what I felt like represented me growing up. And I feel like Mind in the Gap was sort of this interrogative thing. That's what it felt like at the beginning, where I run around the country and like had my own Waking Life experience. And then Slacker, like one of my first films I made when I was 17, that was not a skateboarding film. It sort of emulated Slacker. Like I felt, and I feel like many people felt when Slacker came out, it really captured this sort of like outsider slice of populations in cities in the 90s. But in the 2000s, I felt like, there was these freaks and geeks in my community that I really wanted to showcase. So I just took a bunch of my friends, none of them skated, but I had them walk around town and have these conversations about their lives, and
So was that scripted or no? It was
improv. It was improv,
but it was set up. But it was improv.
It was set up. Yeah. But it was like this person's gonna bump into this person's gonna get hit by a car and he's gonna meet this person. But you guys would just talk about just be yourself.
Yeah. So the film Minding the Gap, it's coming out through Magnolia and Hulu. Correct?
Yes.
So I guess that Magnolia is setting up the theatricals.
So it's Magnolia. I'm learning all this business insider stuff now.
Hulu
is
it's high time.
So Hulu is going to release it, and they did a service deal with Magnolia, and then POV will broadcast it next year.
Oh, it's going to be a POV
PBS.
on the next season?
Yeah.
PV? Oh, very good.
I think it'll be like an off-season screening of this season in early next year.
Uh-huh.
They haven't announced the official date, but it'll be next year, earlier than later.
Okay. And where do you go from here? I mean, where do you live currently anyway? Are you in Chicago? You said
I'm in Chicago.
So you're in the city now.
Yeah, I've moved to Chicago when I was 19.
Okay.
And I'm 29 now. But I've been developing this project with Davis Guggenheim's company, Concordia.
Mm-hmm.
And it follows this program that's in Chicago that is sort of helping young men escape these lives of gun violence. But the project itself is very much about memory and how difficult memory is to access when you've experienced trauma in your life.
Mm-hmm.
But how important ultimately it is to sort of understand yourself and move forward. So we follow these guys get like a certified trade and through this program over the course of 6 to 9 months, while at the same time truly understanding both their personal history and their community's history.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
very ambitious.
It sounds. I mean, it's a pretty big. I mean, it's very personal and macro, and I think that's sort of going to be the challenge of this project.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned the
America to Me.
No, well, you can talk about that too. That was an earlier.
But it's released in August 24th on Stars, and it's 10 hours long. And it took a team of Steve James and 3 other story directors.
That's the series that we were mentioning at the beginning.
Yes, exactly.
America to Me, that's
Yeah.
right. Okay, and it's going to be on Stars.
It's going to be
cable
on Stars,
network.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of the most diverse high schools in the Chicago area. But it's in a suburb of Chicago, and it's not underfunded. They've got millions of dollars in the coffers. But the question is, why is the achievement gap between black and white students not only bigger than the state average and national average, but growing bigger?
Did you get to the bottom of it, you feel like, or like a handle on it? You don't have to say what it is.
Well, let me just say this. It's not, we have like such a macro and micro look at how an education system works in this school that's very much a microcosm for American education, because there's 4,000 people in this school. And we followed 12 students of various backgrounds and races, teachers, administrators. We have access to board meetings. So you see how top-level decisions trickle down into how teachers teach and how students ultimately experience their lives, and how their parents play a role at home with how well they do. So,
look forward to it. I don't have Stars, but we'll get. When is it? When is it get
August
broadcast?
24th.
Just in a matter of days. It's right on. It's stepping right on your premiere.
Stepping right on the premiere. It's very interesting. Yeah, Steve just loves to take all the loves to
suck
just
all the
swoop
oxygen
in.
out of the room.
Right, exactly.
With his ego.
Just kidding, Steve.
We love Steve, and I'll have to get some sort of link. I don't think I have Stars. I don't know.
You reach out to Steve. I mean,
I'll reach
if
out
he
to
wants to come
my
on
friends
for
at
a fourth
Kartemquin.
time.
Also, by the way, what's his? Tim has been on this podcast as well.
So. Oh wow, Tim Horsburgh.
Thank you, Horsburgh. Tim. A lot about Kartemquin. It was right at the time of the 50th anniversary, last year.
Yeah.
So we met, and he's a fan of what I'm doing. So, but I should somehow.
If he can get through his sarcasm, I think that's.
Isn't he British or?
He's
British.
He grew up all of it. He's British.
Yeah.
I think he grew up in India.
Something. He's got to be with that last name of his.
No, he's his humor is very British.
It is, yeah. Dry and acerbic and whatever. Anyway.
Right.
Well, I feel like we're just kind of getting started, but it's a good place to stop. We're going to tell people to go out and see Minding the Gap, which I was lucky enough to see recently, and very moving and powerful documentary, and very personal, I should add. And it's premiering theatrically.
It's in New York. It's at the Metrograph.
At the Metrograph. I thought I saw that.
On the 17th, which is a really cool theater. And then there's, in LA, it'll be the Lemley.
Which one?
In Santa Monica.
Film Center? Oh, the Monica Film Center. I
don't know. Is that the Monica Film Center? The Lemley? I just know it as the Lemley. So.
Yeah. There's like 10 Lemleys over there, for God's sake.
Yeah. Well, it's in Santa Monica. It's like the independent Santa Monica theater. Yeah.
Those listening know what we're talking about and that are from there, so that's all that matters. And that's on the 24th, or is that the 17th
That's
as well?
the 17th.
The 17th is okay. August 17th as well. And then I'm sure it's going to go a bit wider, I assume.
Well, yeah, it'll be in Chicago, Austin, Seattle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, make sure it plays in Chicago, for God's sake.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's nice meeting you.
was nice meeting you as well.
All right. Take care. That's good.